Well, hello, my loves. How are we? Yupping. But up. Cheers. Mm. Can you hear that froth though? Can you hear that froth though? Mm. Oh man, having a little handheld frother device has elevated my life so significantly. And I have found out of all the various leches that I can find here, that actually soya is the silkiest and smoothest by landslides. So that's what I've got in my cup this morning, a little vanilla, loving it, wishing I had a little sprinkle of cinnamon. But maybe I'm bringing the cinnamon today. Who knows? So glad to be here with you, sharing another little episode. I just found myself having a little journal sesh and some thoughts and ideas that came through. And I was like, well, let's do the thing with it. And so it started really with the reflection of my dream last night, which was really captured my attention. And I have full recollection of what went down. And so I will share that dream with you. And yeah, we can kind of move through it together and see what comes up. So my dream was that I was offered a speaking opportunity, and while it wasn't ideal, and I felt like it wasn't quite the vibe, the ambi, or nor was it the theme that I felt like my zone of genius would necessarily really be celebrated in. But I was like, you know what, this is great. Like I'm not in a place to deny the microphone at this point, when you're making that commitment to the main thing, you really do, in a discerning way, obviously, but you do want to scoop up anything that kind of comes across that has any potentiality of becoming, something more, and any kind of way to learn, to deepen in your craft, and just to be in front of people and with people. And so the theme actually was to do with holistic health, which I thought was interesting because, like, 6 years ago was when I was taking my practicum for holistic health. And then I did have my own practice for a couple of years, and so much has evolved since then. And so that is a pool that I have splashed around in. Like I would definitely, not in my own choosing, but I would have said, I very much occupied the wellness space for a time, and it never felt like the best fit hat for myself, but I definitely saw it as an opportunity, and a way to meet with people and connect and do all the things, that transformative journey to be with ourselves, to be conversing and sharing, connecting, accessing, learning through the body, sharing energy, shifting energy, but I remember like feeling, when you're in a certain, playing with a pen here, and you're in a certain genre and you like automatically limit yourself, or you decide mostly subconsciously that certain parts of you aren't really welcome and that you need to really showcase only a certain facet or really hone in one way. And that really, I mean, that never felt true for me because, with how much I've moved around, like literally physically in the world, and it's my experience isn't measured by how deep I go and how much I build in one place, but it's about, being in it, experiencing it to its fullest capacity, and then feeling the call when it's time to shift it or bring something else in, or move, or whatever else. And so, yes, in the dream, it was a holistic health. And I don't prepare for, well, I say that, but I'm like, I'm always preparing, really. It might not look like much from the outside in, but and this is where I've been, I've really had to rewrite the script around procrastination, because I think there's something very different about energetically, emotionally, and like, mentally preparing yourself for something and then literally just boshing it out and getting it done at the final hour or whatever. Like for example, today I have a proposal to submit, and I've been really present with it in my mind. I've really been feeling into it. I've been breathing into it. I haven't done it. I'm not going to sit and do it. So much of my process is in my solitude, in my hermitude, and just like being with myself and preparing. And then I'll, right when it's due, I'll send it, because it'll just be fully ready to, I just want to say, bring the cinnamon buns out of the oven, and then bosh, bang, boom, off we go. Off we go. So with any speaking engagement, even like my best friend's wedding, I didn't have anything written down or prepared. I didn't know what it would actually, flow, or what stories I would share, until I was right there in the moment and feeling the magic of presence, and also like the unique energetic imprint of any given space, any given time, with whomever the folks are that you're, co-creating with. And so that's what happened last night. And then things, it was running late. I was late. I never like to be late, ever. No, thank you. Early is a little too late for me when it comes to events and things. And yeah, the space was filling up, and the space was really interesting. And of course, yeah, I mean, not of course, but I'm indulging you in this, which is that I didn't expect my family members to show up. And well, they did. And the two women who have passed, my mom and my grandmother, were there. My mom's husband and uncle and aunts were there. And I was like, what do you guys? And they had a spot like right at the back. And I was like, whoa, okay. Kept my cool and whatever. And I finally got a hold of a little headset, and I just started telling stories. I wanted to really move around, and I was like, let me look at you. Like I was working that room and I was like, let me look you right in the eyes. Like, what's coming up? What wants to be shared? What's coming through right now? And I was in flow, and I was very aware that it wasn't being picked up, or wasn't being like, not what people expected. But that's the story of my life. It's like, whoa, I didn't see that one coming, or I didn't know that this is what I was signing up for. But it, maybe you get exactly what you need from it, or whatever, some kind of surprise arises from it. But yeah, and I was sharing things. And at one point, the producer of the event came up to me and was like, all right, so what are you getting at? Like, remember holistic health here. Like, Krista, you've just been telling stories. And I remember just looking at him and being like, well, do you just like not get it at all? Like, the very fact that a human being has had the willingness to show up and share with like wild abandon, and be present with the people, and be connecting in real time. You understand that, like, but I'm like, you know what, maybe he doesn't. And some people ended up leaving. And I remember, maybe for the first time, maybe in any other dream or any like even conscious thought, thinking like, oh, this is totally okay. Like, this is perfect, actually. I like this. I like that it's not everyone's cup of tea. And I'm like really on board with myself with this here. And he was like, well, what's the point? Wrap it up, kind of thing. And I said, you know what? I think that living our lives, and sharing just off the cuff, like super improvised and also very present, is the greatest gift. And I think what's really important is the way that we can make each other feel, and what can be provoked and evoked in one another, that either is a reminder or a permission slip, or taps into something, a memory or a feeling, or something that gives people more curiosity and reason to deepen, and also like just explore more of their humanity. And that's kind of what I said. I think my last words were like, people don't always remember what you say, but they always remember how you made them feel. And that was kind of my last thing. And I'm like, yeah, good for you. Like, okay, you learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot, obviously, and I'm sharing it now here with you. But I think it's super cool to, hone in on the thing that you know that you're here to do. And here's the thing, like, no one's going to do that for you. No one's going to put in the effort and the consistency and the presence and the energy the way that you can. It's not going to happen. So that aligned action and waking up every single day and asking yourself, what kind of life am I creating for myself today, is of the highest order. Truly. How can I learn to be really happy? And how can I be on board with the process that is not some vague, faraway idea of the process, as in like anyone else's script has more, truth or weight than your own, but like I'm in my process of the art that is my life, and I'm the masterpiece and the artist. And like, how can I just become so much more enamored with my daily life and the choices that I'm making, the presence that I'm sharing, the energy that I'm showing up with, and go, this is it. I am choosing to have the life of my dreams today, right now, on a momentary, minute to minute, day by day basis. I am not waiting for anything or for all the puzzle pieces to be available at my leisure. I know that this moment is as relevant, is as powerful, is as true as any other moment which you can imagine, involves your more higher self or more successful self being expressed. You have all of those elements today, right now. So do choose to show up for them. Get on board with your own process, learn to love it and indulge in it, and be totally like, that wonder and that awe. Let's just bring that right on back, right on back. Let's really tap in to that today. Yeah. I'm feeling that. Yeah. So that was my dream. Nothing really evolved there with the audience. I did end up speaking a lot about how my family has been chosen. I actually reflected on a Christmas. I was saying I was an only child, and I was like, well, I still am. And the best parts of my holidays or whatever was when I'd be given a new CD and I had my little bright yellow Discman, and I would go into a spare room and listen, and just be with the music. And that's when I remembered that I was always home, even if the situation or the circumstance or the environment wasn't quite how I would have painted it. Music was always my saving grace. And I talked about the chosen family, which was a bit weird to talk about in front of these folks, but there was also a very like compassionate detachment from whatever, before I would have felt like, shit, I can't say that, but I was like, no, that is my lived, like, that is my experience. And I'm absolutely have full permission to share what is true for me. And I could only hope and desire that people had the same ability and confidence and willingness to share what was true for them, because the secrecy and the mystery and the half truths and that whole thing was actually probably, which is what I was exposed to a lot growing up, was the exact reason probably that I've been shaped into the character that I am today. And I have such a reverence for the truth, and just, I go, what else is there really? Whose life are we what for who and why? Like, what is the point of that? So that was also pretty cool. Now, just reflecting that out loud to be like, oh, wow, it seems as though I've arrived at a new station on the mountain on this journey we call life here. So there is that. I also wanted to just share a little metaphor that expands on that, which I was thinking about how many different genres of films that there are out there. So many I don't even know, or that I have never watched. I probably will not watch. Maybe if someone who I love and respect their opinion and they're like, no, really, even if you don't like horror, like you should definitely check this out. And I'd be like curious, not so much about the film, but more so about what they resonated with and thought that it would land for me. So I'm like more curious about that intimate connection than I am about whatever it is that I was going to watch. And I'm just thinking about, yeah, so many genres, right? And like these are full featured films that involve a lot of money, a lot of production, a lot of folks. Like there's a lot of fans, there's a lot of people that have jobs in those industries, and that's perfect. Not every single genre is going to be watched by the entire world, and nor was that. It was like literally not designed. Like that's not the point at all. Do you know what I'm like? That's not. They don't care that like, oh, that's not their audience. They make their shit for their audience, because when you're doing the thing that you're meant to be doing and that is so true for you and comes so effortlessly, and that it's like, on your mind, it's like that's your life. That cannot be negated by any non-fan ever. You hear me? Same with music, same with anything. It's like they're not thinking about all the folks that like don't like heavy metal. They're like, no, what's true for us? How can we deepen in this? How can we keep creating? They're not focused on the people that are never going to click that. They're going to scroll down in the Netflix and go so far past the recommended for you. Doesn't matter. So what I want to say with that is make your feature film. Your life is your film, essentially, right? So just like be with that and keep creating, and it's not your job to necessarily at first know who it's going to be received by. It doesn't really matter. Like you're not the film critic. You're the one expressing the art. You hear? So yeah, just know that, when you're speaking to your people, they're going to hear you differently. They're going to see you. They're going to know you. They're going to anticipate. They're going to be moved by your energy. They're going to be excited to watch and hear and experience what your life is. They're going to really dig your art. But again, it would just be too topsy-turvy to be like, I'm going to create this thing because it's going to be interpreted as this. I'm going to make this for these folks because this is how it's going to land in their living room. No, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's a branch that can be blown in a storm. And then you're like, what am I left with? I wasn't like tapped into the trunk of my truth. And so now that branch has gone off doing something else, I don't know where it went, then it's like, oh, I don't know what I'm creating anymore. It can never be dependent on the result or the other person or the other side. It has to be for you first. And trust that the right people, the audience, the family, the everything, they'll find you and they'll watch. They'll star your shit. You know what I mean? So that's it, my loves. That's my Sunday sesh. I'm gonna be sharing it on YouTube and on the pod. So wherever you're listening, thank you so much for tuning in. And stay tuned because there's a lot more to come. I love you very, very much, and we'll see or be tapped into one another very soon. Much love, much love.